right, so everybody, welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show. If you're tuning in nationally, we're back from the break with Rick Thorne. If you're on YouTube, we are just getting started. But man, Rick, dude, it's stoked to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me on. You know, I'm always like, you know, doing podcasts. Anyhow, cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been doing this show for, well, it had a different name at one point, but since 2011. So we're like, what, 15 years deep. But it's like, I started out just like automotive stuff because that's what I was from. But I have this history where I used to ride BMX and I was never real good. I did some amateur contests, but I'm like, I like getting buddies on, you know, and stuff like that I, you know, used to ride with. And, you know, I've had a couple pro level guys. Dave Muir was actually a really good friend of mine from back when we used to do some motorsports stuff together. And, you know, I was just like,
yeah, dude. Oh, fucking Mira. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I miss that guy all the time, but that's a story for another day, man. But no, dude, I've been following your career forever back. I mean, you know, I started riding in the early 80s and stuff like that as a kid. And it was like, shit, my entire career. It's like, you know what I mean? Anything else. I'm like, it's fun to get you on, man.
Well, if you don't mind, I mean, I'm going to be 56 coming up. I don't give a fuck about numbers. I'm always tell people how old I am. I've always been like, not afraid of that. How old are you?
I'm 45.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're like 10 years younger. Yeah, man. Those were the days back in the 80s. By the way, you said something real quick. I want to say, Mara, dude, I grew up with, I mean, I first met Dave Mara. I got to say this. I met Dave Mara in 1988 at a Wayne, New Jersey contest, and he was like 14. And then we went on tour when he was 16, and I was 21 maybe. And then, yeah, I missed it. Yeah, but that's crazy. You were good friends with Dave. He's a great dude.
Well,
so, yeah, small world. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny about Dave is one of those, like, I grew up and obviously, I knew who he was. You know, I followed him at one point. You know what I mean? I had, I think, a pair of his Adidas shoes, the signature Adidas shoes, because they grip pedals really, really well. And but it was like, you know, grew up, everybody knew Dave, and he was like one of those guys. And sometimes they said never meet your heroes because they don't live up. And I'm like, Dave was complete opposite, man. I met him, you know, at like 30, and you know, he and I were, you know, I raced trophy trucks and he was doing rallycross cars. I was doing some TV for rallycross, and I met Dave for the first time. We instantly became friends, but it was like, dude, that's one of those where the heroes lived up to the hype. You know what I mean? I was like,
oh yeah,
just a great human, man. His wife's a sweetheart. Like, just, man, it's one of those where, you know, we could talk Dave stories for days, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though? You said something. Yeah, Dave, God bless him. He rests in peace. He's the best. No one lives up to his writing to this day. You know, he's left such a huge impact. But you said something to me that, or you just said something about like, don't meet your dudes like you like or like you think you might like. Dude, I've done that so many times, interviewing people for stuff. I'm like, this dude's rad, and then you interview him, like, bro, I wish I would never interviewed that dude. I wish I would never talked to that dude because now I want my money back and all those fucking CDs.
That's cool. Dude,
I don't want to listen to your fucking music anymore because you're a douchebag.
Yeah, you're gonna get the podcast one or two word answers, and you're just like,
can I cuss on here? Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you can cuss. It's fine.
I don't mean to. That's just part of my nature. But anyways, finish what you're saying. Sorry.
No. It's the worst is when you get them on and you've got all these questions. You're amped. You're like, you've been watching this guy play music or whatever for 20 years. You finally get them on, and they're giving you like 2-word ansers. And it's like they've got better to do, and it's just like this is a hindrance to them, and you're just like, oh, come on, man, like give me something here.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I've met so many musicians through the years. Because I'm a musician myself. I love music, but you know, music's always put on this pedestal in a sense, you know, above like everything in a sense, above sports, above music. Above movies, because actors are big, athletes are big, but music's like music. And sometimes you meet people and you're like, this is kind of like. Just kind of like a whack dude, like, you know, his music's good though, you know. I don't know. I'll try to be consistently solid all the way through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're gonna skip all around, but you mentioned music, so I got to segue because I was watching something here last week or so. But you've played the Whiskey A Go Go, right?
Yeah.
How is that? Because I've actually emceed at the Whiskey twice. They invited me in to kind of special guest MC. But dude,
cool.
How special is it being on that stage? Like, I'm just like, dude, Kiss, Motley Crue. Like, I just go down the list and I'm like, dude, that venue, it's just an old dive, but it's so freaking rad to actually be there.
Yeah, no, the Whiskey's like that block on Sunset from like the Whiskey up to the Rainbow is like that's pretty much what's left of like what's vintage in my opinion on well, the Sunset Strip is different than Sunset Boulevard technically, if people don't know, is that the Boulevard ends at Fairfax originally, and then the Strip was a connector from Fairfax over to Beverly Hills because there's no little thing to connect it. But as far as like being at the Whiskey, it's still iconic. It's like, I mean, I'm up there every day actually because I do a ride through Hollywood. I've been doing it for like 30 years, 10-mile ride on my BMX. And so, but the Whiskey was cool because like the Doors, bro. For me, I'm like, Jim Morrison started out here. You know, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's iconic. They still have a lot of, have a lot of red shows there all the time. So
yeah, every time I'm in town,
pretty dope.
Because it's like 4 or 5 nights a week, they got stuff playing, you know. So it's like you never know what's going to be on stage.
Yeah, like Metallica played there, Led Zeppelin. I mean, I mean, even before rock and roll, like I mean, like all the blues artists. Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but across the street at the Viper Room, that used to be called Filthy McNasty's, and then it was called something before. I'm trying to think of the name before that. That venue's been there forever, and they've been talking about tearing it out for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Because what they're doing at Sunset is they're tearing down everything that's kind of like cool, and they're building apartments, and so then they make the bottom like retail stores, and then the tops are all the apartments. So then it's just kind of like. But here's what happens with that is then a lot of the stores at the bottom are empty, but they keep them intentionally empty because it keeps the rent down. It's all a bunch of politics. But like it's kind of like ruined, like because you're kind of like, oh, there's not much left. So the Whiskey is one of the few places that's left, which is it might be a landmark to where they can't tear it down, like a historic building. I think it is.
I would say that, and probably the Rainbow that goes along with it. And then what is between Whiskey and the Rainbow? What's the one between them?
Roxy.
Roxy, there you go, yeah.
But they're all together, like the Whiskey and the Roxy and the Rainbow. They're all kind of like partners together. They've been there forever, the families. So, the Adlers own the Roxy. Nick Adler and Cisco Adler. Those are the sons. Anyways, I know a lot of history of that because I live up here. But like, the Roxy was the first. One of the first venues where they used to do like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they had like Bob Marley open up for Cheech and Chong back in the day. Cool shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like what? But yeah, pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I guess let's bounce around because we've been going all over the place. But I want to like go back to the start because I mean, a little bit about your story. But obviously, you grew up in Kansas City. How did you find your way to BMX? Because we all have like this different path. And I mean, it literally BMX. I go back to all the stuff I've done in motorsports and podcasts and media. Like it all ties back to like my love of BMX in some weird way. It was like that was what got me started in everything I'm doing now. You know what I mean? It's like how would you date BMX?
Man, and to think about it, like just back in the day, just getting outside, and I think that like people had we had way less options than what kids have nowadays. I think about it nowadays. It's like kids got everything electric. And then they got like so many different styles of bikes, boards, like hoverboards, this, that, scooters, the other. And so, but back in the day, you just wanted to get outside, and it was just like, I don't know what my actual introduction was. I know what it was for freestyle, but just having a bike was just something that you had as a kid because you saw Evel Knievel and shit, and you wanted to be like, kind of like, at least I did, wanted to do some stunts and jump and stuff. And then I remember I had this Evel Knievel. I wish I still had this bike, bro. This Evel Knievel bike, and it had like a gas tank on it. It looked like it was a motorcycle. That was the first bike I learned how to ride without training wheels. And
I know when you're talking about. I haven't seen one in person, but I've seen pictures of them.
So so that was my first bike. And then I don't know. I honestly, bro, the reality of it all is that riding wasn't so much about like, oh, I want to be in the X Games and I want to be sponsored all this stuff. Because we didn't know any of that. There's none of that shit back then. Bike riding legit to this day, and this is why, like I said earlier, I go ride 10 miles a day. I feel free. I feel alive. I feel inspired. I feel like I'm not thinking of problems of life. I'm out like just with my headphones on, and I'm just like jamming. And that's what it felt like when I was a little kid. Yeah. That's what it felt like. Hey, that's what it felt like when I was a little kid. Like I just felt like hey, that I was free, and I get my dog agrees with it. But I just felt like I felt like I was free, man. Like just go out and do your thing and get away, get outside and I'm not like some people ride for different reasons, right? And get involved for different reasons, especially today. Milo. But as far as like with like me, and I'm not here to like harp and be like this dude that's like complaining about the past and shit about what I'm getting ready to say. But for me, I had like some issues growing up, family issues and things that like I felt like were torn apart and I just needed something. And at a young age, I just got freaking lucky, bro, completely because riding just made me kind of escape from my problems for that moment. Not like escape, but like just kind of get away, like it made me feel good, basically. I can't describe it to this day. Just even riding down the street, just something about it. And then that led to like everything else. But that was the whole reason why I ever started is just get out of the house. I didn't want to be there. Problems were going on. I just wanted to feel alive. That's pretty much it.
Well, and I think like, I tell this to my daughter all the time, and she's 16. She turned 17 here in a month. But I told her, I'm like, I started riding BMX. I also skateboarded a lot, but it was 7:30 in the morning. There wasn't anything to do in the house. There wasn't internet. There was video games, but it's not like it is now. You know what I mean? It was one of those where I told her, I was like, I got up every morning. It was like my bike was my freedom. I got on and I was gone and I wasn't home till that night, but it was like, where are the boys at? What are we doing? And then you start curb hopping, you start jumping, because you're bored just riding around. But it was just, like you said, it was freeing. It was like that got you out. It got you away from things. And, and I was the same way, and then, boys are boys and you start challenging each other to jump the bigger curb and the bigger stairs and stuff like that, and you're down the rabbit hole. But, it started out with me, it was pure. And then, for me, part of it was, movie Rad came out. I was small town. There was no skate park, small town, Arizona, 1 square mile. So it's like, I didn't see transition. I didn't, and then all of a sudden you got the magazines and, stuff like that. It was like, oh, wow, there's like rad stuff bigger than these 3 stairs. It's the biggest thing we've got in town.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. A lot. I agree with you. A lot of it too is like camaraderie with your friends, but at the same time, it's weird because I learned like how to ride. This is gonna sound really weird, and I don't care how it's just how I feel. I never really felt like I fit in, anyways. I never really felt like I fit in with like what other people were doing. I never really felt like I fit in with like. I felt like I was like misunderstood a lot. And I felt like with riding, it just kind of gave me this sense of like, not empowerment, but just kind of my own thing. But I didn't even know that. I just know that it felt awesome. And so I was like, this is cool. This is what I want to do. And I remember I learned how to ride a quarter pipe. Like, we just moved in this neighborhood. We didn't have a lot of money. I begged my mom. I got these plans to build these ramps. A quarter pipe from BMX Action. They send you ramp plans and shit to build a quarter pipe. And I ordered that. And then my dad, basically, we built it, and then I didn't have any friends in the area, and I learned how to like do airs on my own. But check this out. This is kind of cool. I learned actually how to do airs, like air. Anyone listening is like a 180 on a quarter pipe, like or a transition. You go up, you got to turn around, but you don't just carve it. You got to come up off the ramp. You got to pick your bike up and air it, right? And I learned how to do that. I learned how to do airs on a quarter pipe and on a grass hill. Isn't that crazy? Like, because I went into the magazines, I went to the store and I saw these magazines, a bike magazine. I'd already been riding, but I didn't even know there was bike magazines. I was like, whoa, what is this? And it must have been something like probably BMX Action or BMX Plus back in the day. And it showed these dudes like shredding, like Fiola, Blythe, or Dominguez. I don't know who they were at the time, like skate parks. I was like, what is that? I never even seen a skate park. Like, what? It blew me away. And this had to be like 1980 or some shit. And so then I was like, wow. So I was trying to emulate what I saw them doing in the skate parks, because I had never seen a transition before, except for then I started looking at the magazines. And so then I found this ditch, like a grass hill that went down and up and would form like a half pipe, I guess. And I would roll in and try to air it. And that's how I learned how to do airs. And then that's when I bought a quarter pipe, and then blah, blah, blah. So my point to all that story, because I'm going everywhere, is that the camaraderie with riding with people is great. But a lot of the stuff that I've learned and I do to this day, it's like, I don't know, it's like so fulfilling. It fulfills me, like, to do stuff, to ride, even if it's by myself. I don't want to ride by myself all the time, but sometimes I don't mind it neither. It's okay, you know? And it just kind of reminds me of like how I started, was just like, just exploring how it felt and like how to challenge myself internally, you know? But you're right though, growing up with friends and jumping curves and seeing how like you do a wheelie and all that kind of stuff was fun too. But you know, yeah, but ultimately that's it. Because people ask me all the time because they think it's about like sponsors and coverage and stuff like that. Because in this day and age, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But back then, no, it was just like I don't know. I just want to get out and do some riding, you know. So
How did it progress from there to you know, actually starting to do contests and things like that? So was that early '90s? I mean, it was that kind of started popping up for you.
no, the first contest I did. Okay, so first off, I was lucky enough to grow up with the triple OG legend, Godfather of freestyle BMX, Dennis McCoy. Uh, I grew up in the same city as Dennis. I moved into the neighborhood that he lived in. I was brand new to the high school. We met in high school. He's a couple years older. And how it transitioned was that my first around, I bought my first quarter pipe around 82, 83. I think it was, no, I think it was the summer of 83. And that's when I was going into freshman. And I didn't know anyone, but I wanted to just build a quarter pipe because I was just thought it's something I'd want to do by myself. And then, but then it was 85. So you got to figure, I bought my first quarter pipe, 82, 83-ish, about-ish.
Yeah.
And then my first shows I did was in 1985 with Dennis and Brian Belcher. We were the BMX Brigade freestyle team. And and then my first contest was in 86. So I've been like doing bike shop shows and stuff. So I progressed really quickly and was able to I had a bike shop sponsor that gave me, you know, and then I started doing shows with Dennis. So I got it's just what I just excelled quick enough to be able to do shows, you know, but that was never even the goal. It just kind of organically happened. He's like, oh, well, wait, someone might've mentioned something like, you should see about that bike shop sponsor. And you're like, what sponsor? I didn't know what it was or what that meant. And then, you know, it's like, oh, you get 15% off bike parts. I was like, what? You know, and then when we did some shows and I actually made like $50 or some shit, I was like, what? You know, but for me, I had some bumps in the road. And since we're going on everywhere, I'll just tell you my story. Around 86, 87, around 86, after I competed, I stopped riding. And when I started my senior year, because I got a girlfriend. It was the first time I'd ever been with a girl, and I was in love, and blah, 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 right? And long story short, I stopped riding for like a year or so. And then I was like, yo, I see Dennis and the homies out riding, and I'd always be like, oh, no. And then things didn't work out with me and her. And then I was like, man, I just wasted 8 months of my life. I could have been riding, you know, what was I thinking? And so that's when I graduated high school, you know, my mom was like, hey, we'll get you a car for graduation. Because that was a big deal to her that we graduated high school, you know? And I said, I don't want to, it's not a new car. It's you know, a couple $100 back then, you get a clunker, right? Yeah. And I was like, no, I want to get a bike, man. So she bought me a brand new 1987 Haro Master. And then that's when I said, all right, I'm going to be a pro rider. I'm never going to give up on this shit again. So how it progressed was just kind of it progressed for a minute there. And then I didn't, back then, the reason I told you that is because back then there was no kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I saw Dennis excelling in 85. He got sponsored by Haro, 86. And I was like, but Dennis was always better than all of us. So I was like, oh, that's just Dennis. You know, he kills it. He's better than all of us anyways. He deserves it more. That's the way I thought. And so I didn't really think highly of what I was doing at the time. I thought it was I don't know what to do with my life. I'm a senior in high school. What's after this? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And then that's when I was like, yo, I gave up on something I love to do for what? Just growing up cheating on me anyways. You know what I mean? We'll go to school and come to your house and do homework. Fuck all that. I'm going to go ride, bro. I wasted my time. And you know what? I told myself I ain't never doing that shit again. But I did get married 3 times and then divorced 3 times. So I guess I did do it again. But yeah, no, for real. Like writing's always been there, you know. But it just progressed because it was never like, I guess it progressed like, to go back to your question, it like in small kind of like ways, you know, like, oh, we're doing some shows, or, oh, you can get sponsored, oh, you get free pair of handlebars or something, like what? And it inspired you to keep going. And that's why I always tell people, like, you may be grinding your shit, you're doing your thing and nothing's happening, you get like a little bit of something, and then it goes, and then you're grinding again. It's like, just hang on, just keep going, don't give up, because everything isn't going to be so all at once. For some people it might be, but for the majority of people it's not. And you just got to stay consistent, bro. So anyways, I don't know if that answered your question. I was kind of all over the place, but like, it just progressed. Like, and then as I started to go to contests, and then in '87 I went on tour with Dennis as a sidekick, just to be like his homie. It was like with top pros like Joe Johnson, Rick Molinterno, Blyther, Ron Wilkerson, Dave Norrie, these legends.
Yeah,
and it just inspired me. And being around Dennis was always inspiring. But like now, you figure we're out of high school, a lot of those fools that rode got a girlfriend, got a car, got a job, never rode again. Okay. And I was like, no, I don't want any of that. I want to ride. And I just grinded and grinded. And it was just about, but then what happened was, sorry if I'm annoying right now, I'm just telling you my story.
No, not at all.
So what happened was then '87, I'm on tour with Dennis, meeting people. Oh, Dennis's friend, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I wasn't that great of a rider, but I had a lot of heart. And then '88 came around, and I started doing really good. Started winning contests, started winning the overall. And that's when the sport went way underground. So like the sport peaked at like '87, and then bike sales dropped. So everyone dropped their whole team. Everybody dropped everything. And there was no way to get sponsored. The only people sponsored were like Matt Hoffman, Dennis McCoy, and Dave Volker. That was like it, right? Yeah. And that went on for 5 years. So as I'm getting better, making a name for myself, I'm broke as fuck, bro. I'm busting tables in an Olive Garden. I'm like living in my mom's basement. I had no car. I had no girl. I just wanted to ride. I had this goal. And like, so it was kind of weird, you know? It's like I got into it. I got some love and early on, then I quit. And when I got back into it and got good, the sport went down. And then it didn't come back up till like maybe 95, really 95, you know, where people actually could really make somewhat of a living at it, or, you know, around there because of X Games and shit. So like, think of all those years just doing it because you love it. So all it's ever been.
Yeah, a lot of at the time too. And I actually want to put into context. So you talked about like touring in the shows. I want to put into context because I got a lot of younger people. Like in the '80s, these BMX shows he's talking about, like for me, it wasn't on TV. Tapes were just starting to come out. So it was like, aside from a random magazine, like when, you know, I know like Vans came to our town twice, and they had their quarter pipe and their box jump. And like Vans came, we're in a town of like 3,500 people, and 3,000 of the 3,500 people showed up to watch this show because like we were seeing stuff that we never saw before, because we're like in this isolated town, and this touring truck comes with a box jump and a quarter pipe. So like the shows he's talking about, like when you guys are touring doing shows, like it was massive at the time for kids like me who was getting this impact on like, oh my gosh, this is what's possible, because we'd never seen it before.
Yeah, it was new. And that, you know, what we mentioned earlier about like kids having different options and stuff, is society's conditioned to it. So, you know, with the X Games and like different events, they're trying to like bring it back. They say, let's bring it back. But it's like kids got more things. It's not that it ever went away. It's just that people, listen, man, the way that society has gotten, in a sense, not with my kids, because my kids know how to work. They play sports. They know what the feeling is to accomplish something. But a lot of people, they don't want to put in the work. They want like easy stuff. They want to feel like they're part of something without challenging like themselves to get hurt or like to go. But back then, that was the only option you had, is like, I got to jump this ditch or it ain't gonna, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I could just go ride an electric bike down the street and with a few friends and feel like, you know, we're a little posse and we're causing some havoc. We did that on our BMX, and along the way you would jump shit. So it's kind of like, it's weird because society's kind of gotten like conditioned to what it is. And there's this, I don't know, I just feel like I don't think action sports is ever going to go anywhere. But I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, skateboarding, I'm not a skater, but I know a lot of friends that are. From what I hear, is not doing well. BMX is definitely not doing well. It's like it's in a weird spot right now, to where it's trying to reinvent itself, and not in a sense, like the way I look at it is reinventing yourself sometimes could be like doing what you did in the past or coming up with something new. And I think that's what the X Games is trying to do. They're trying to do something new, to reinvent it, to bring people back into it, which I respect. And but when we first came out, we were on TV and they're like, "Oh, what are these guys doing?" And then and they used to film us so funny, dude. Because like I'll move my head when I was the camera. Ready? Yo, what's up? We're here at the X Games. This is Rick Thorne. Look how crazy I am. I'm extreme. Oh, and that was the whole like sales point. We'd be like, I'd be like filming because I did TV shows forever for ESPN, and I'd be like, "Why are you moving all crazy, cameraman? Just stay still. It's all right." But that was what they were trying to make it. Like, these guys are nuts. Look at them. And I just think that society's kind of gotten to the point where, the next batch of kids got to have access to what we're doing, but also get inspired to be like, dude, I want to learn a triple tail whip. That's gnarly, right? And it just seems like as the tricks got bigger, I just feel like less people got involved because it's gnarly. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just on a rant right now, but that's just what it feels like. I don't know.
Well, I think like, and this is just me, like I was never pro level good at BMX. I, rode in some amateur contests. I had buddies that were pro level good, but I'm like, when I learned to backflip, we have a river and it's like, how do you learn to backflip?
Yeah.
Man, we built a ramp and we got an old junk bike and we were hucking it into the river until you figured out the rotation, and, and there's stuff like that. There wasn't foam pits, there wasn't resi ramps, there wasn't like,
no,
it hurt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but you had to earn it. And now it's like, it's so easy for kids to learn things. And I feel like now it's become robotic. The style.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We had, you had your style, McCoy had a style, Dave Assato had a style, Mira had a style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like everybody was individualized. Now, like if it's a lot of rinse and repeat, I feel like, oh, that guy just did a triple tail whip into a double backflip, and it's like, I don't know. It's just it's kind of lost me.
Hey, that's what happened with punk rock, bro. That's what happened with a lot of things. That's what happened with hip hop, or like even back in the day, like the grunge, or go back even further. Like I'm sure there was a bunch of cookie cutter Beach Boy bands. It's like people see a formula of success and they go, okay, so that's what I need to do. It's like, no, what you need to do is express yourself fearlessly. But these conditions come in, like the Olympics, and they say, oh, well, you can't wear your sponsors, you can't do this, can't do that. They change the judging system. There's only so many people allowed, yada, yada, yada. And so then all these riders are like, what do I need to do to get the podium? What's that guy doing? And then they start to kind of like, and also too, and no diss on any of these riders, because I love them all. I think they're all doing amazing shit. I think that they're badass, bro. Hats off to you. You guys are amazing. But I think at the same time, when you said robotic, it could tend to, and I'm speaking from BMX perspective. Okay. That's the sport I do, is that like, I just think that like, when you're doing like 5 tail whips or 6 bar spins or whatever, there's only so much style in that anyways. It starts to look robotic, So back in the day when you're saying that, I felt like we were more like characters, because it was kind of like more of an open book of what we could do. And I don't know where that changed along the lines where everybody started to ride and look the same. But back in the day, it definitely wasn't like that. And it reminds me of punk rock. You had Minor Threat, you had Black Flag, you had Misfits, you had all these bands that had their own vibe, but they were all still considered punk rock. You know what I mean? And with riding and stuff, it's like, I've always prided myself. I got into this shit because I didn't feel like I fit in. So why in the hell would I want to do other stuff to fit in with anybody? I'm just doing my own thing. And I think more people should do that. And it's going to create a whole new style and a whole new reinvention of like maybe what the sport needs, in a sense, with this, and not to say the kids aren't doing that. You got your whole side of BMX that's more kind of like, run by the industry and the street guys, and and then there's just different pockets of. But when people see it on TV, You know, is it leaving the same impact that it did back in the early 2000s? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
if it is or isn't.
let's talk a little bit about, you know, you were at the original X Games '95. Let's talk about the impact on that, because I know at that time, I guess, well, you got picked up from by Hoffman in the early '90s, correct? And then that fast forward into, like, that was when I'll be honest with you, that's when the first time I started paying attention to Rick Thorne, is when you got on with Hoffman. So then all of a sudden you were kind of out there in a lot of media and things like that. But let's fast forward to '95 X Games. I mean, how was that? I mean, I know you didn't even make any money the first year, right?
No, and I want to mention this real quick. I started doing shows because I was with Dennis. Dennis started doing shows. It's a crazy story. Is that Matt Hoffman's dad hired Dennis to go to Oklahoma to teach Matt how to ride. That's how big of a name Dennis was. But to me, Dennis was my homie. He was the dude I was out riding the streets with late at night downtown, you know, airing a quarter pipe in the projects with all the homies. Like, that was my boy. That was, you know, we were homies. So, you know, I met Matt in 1987, and then we did the Sprocket Jockey shows in 1988. That's when we started. And it was me, Matt Hoffman, Steve Swope, and Dennis McCoy. And so we would do state fair shows and stuff like that. And I would MC and I would ride and I would switch on and off. And that's where I learned how to MC, through those shows. But like, but so when Matt started his company, I remember specifically when he asked me, I'd already been doing shows with him for 5-6 years. We did a Haro tour in 1990, and he rode for Haro at the time, and he cracked his down tube of his frame and still did a tail whip. And then he goes, and it was right when he's getting ready to start hopping bikes. This must have been 1991, I think, because I think he started hopping bikes in 92. He goes, hey man, we were on the show on the deck of the ramp. He's like, hey, do you want to ride for me for hopping bikes? So I was like, right when I'm getting ready to roll in, I was like, yeah. So it kind of like organically happened that we were buddies for a long time and experienced a lot of tour life up to that point. But so just to say, like that's how the sport though was pretty underground. That like a lot of people didn't see us until the X Games, until TV, because they had exposure to what we were doing. Up to that point, you had to be involved. You had to be in the know. You had to get the magazines. You had to. There's more underground, you know, as much as like it wasn't. It was to the big mainstream. But like when '95 came around for the X Games, they wanted to call it the Extreme Games, and then I think they did the first year. But I mean, it was cool because I did make some money. This is how much I made. I think they invited 10 of us. I don't know. I got 7th or 8th place or something. Happy to be there. I was married to my first wife. They did this whole like honeymoon segment on us because I said, hey, it's our honeymoon. Let's go to the X Games. I ain't missing this shit, yo. And so yeah, I mean, shit, we had fun, whatever. But so we got these remote control cars because they gave us these like packages, like a bag and some shit.
Yeah.
And they gave us these remote control cars. Now I grew up in Kansas City, where my grandmother would be like, yo, let's go grocery garage sales. If we find some shit we can return, I want you to take it into Kmart and return that shit, because I got to go play bingo tonight, motherfucker. And I was like, what? All right, let's go. So I grew up like that. So I remember one time I got these Frogger Atari cartridges at the garage sale. She's like, go in there and return them. Tell them your birthday was last week. You don't have the receipt. I come out with like some cash. Thank you. Off she goes. Tell me how to hustle, bro. Go buy your grandma some cigarettes. I used to buy her cigarettes and shit. I was a little kid. It's crazy back then.
That's when they knew you were actually buying them for grandma, and they just sell them to you, even though you're underage. They didn't care.
Oh, I was buying them with food stamps, bro. And they would give you the change, and she would take the change to the bingo hall. And I don't know if you know this or not, but back in Missouri, bingo was illegal. You had to go across the border into Kansas and go in some underground church or some shit. I'm not lying to you. That's how it was. I used to go sit in that bingo hall. It was full of smoke and shit, and a bunch of old people. I'd be eating a grilled cheese. Like, this is the life. All from a Frogger Atari cartridge. So anyway, so X Games, we get these remote control cars, right? And I was like, instantly my mind's like, I don't want this shit, but I ain't gonna give it away. I wonder if they have these at Target. Sure enough. So I returned that shit, made like $50, paid my utility bill. So first X Games paid my utility bill. What's up? but I knew right in to see right when X Games came out in '95. MTV hired me in 96. Was it 96 or might have been 97? 97 to host MTV Sports and Music Awards show. So my whole life has been kind of like, it's been kind of like these little things that happened that were never like this big written out thing. They just kind of like being in a place at the right time, meeting somebody, someone seeing you, getting yourself out there. It's showing up is important, you know, just showing up. And so then when I did this thing for him, the MTV Sports and Music Awards show, now it's like, you know, it's like being catapulted from like doing like state fair shows, boat shows, car shows. I mean, I did over 500 state fair shows a year for Matt. Was the point where I was like, it was crazy, bro. We were doing so many shows, and you feel like a sidekick at a carnival. You know what I mean? And the first time that I went to do shows overseas was with Tony Hawk in '96 to Australia to the Big Day Out tour, where it's like Pornos for Pyros was playing, Rancid, Rage Against the Machine, and they had a vert ramp around 40,000 people, and I was like, what? It blew my mind. Like, we're used to being next to the pig races, you know, at the Kentucky State Fair, like with people eating corn dogs and shit, like 4 people at our show. Like, what? This is insane. So, well, I'm all over the place. But when that shit happened in '95, I knew in my mind, like, oh, I'm on TV. Oh, they're letting us wear what we want. Oh, I'm going to use this to try to get sponsors. And sure enough, I started putting together my own resumes, typing them up, and calling people. I learned that in school. It's called mass media, this class. And it taught you how to put together resumes and portfolios and shit. And I would just call up companies, just blindside, and be like, who's the team manager? Where can I send this? And the first sponsor I got was from Power Bar. And I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I got to tell you this. Oh, no. I got a photo incentive deal. This is after '95, because now I've built up contests from '86 up to '95 that I've been involved with. I had a couple photos. I was in this X Games thing, this new thing. So fuck, I'm going to use this to make some money, man. And actually, Power Bar was before the X Games. Sorry, Power Bar must have been in '90, right before the X Games. I sent out
too. Power Bar was a big deal.
But this is right before X Games. So I was still trying to grind. I knew about putting together a resume and all this stuff that I learned. And I was like, oh, you know, I knew what being sponsored meant now. And I was like, I'm going to go for this. And so DIY. And then I come home one day and there's a little box. And it says, you are officially part of the photo incentive program for Power Bar. Check this out. I was like, what? I get so many bars a month. And $50 if you get a little black and white photo. 75. If you get a full color, it's $200. So what did I do? Call the magazines. Yo, I just got sponsored by Power Bar. Can we shoot some photos in the news so I can make some money? So we shot these photos of me standing there with the Power Bar shirt. And then I Xeroxed it, sent it in, waited a couple months to make $50, paid some utility bills. Yeah, we didn't have, for kids listening, we didn't have like Instagram, do a little video reel. Oh, sponsor me. Way different. You wouldn't have lasted.
No, it was though, and it was like video parts were a big deal. You know, you get like a 2-minute video part in some like video or something. It was a big deal. You know, even a 30-second video part. Like people don't realize what went into that. Now it's just everybody's got a camera in their hand and all this content gets put out. But it was like you start hearing rumors. Oh, this tape's going to drop, and so have this killer 2-minute video part, and so everybody's like lined up waiting for this fucking video to come out, and then it comes out.
Yeah.
And like mind-blowing, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh man, I can't believe that. But it was like, now everything's in real time. It's instant, you know what I mean? It's
well, you're absolutely right. And I'm a little bit older than you, but for us, this is even before videos. Like this is even like in the '80s, like it was even before, like if people had a video, it was like a major production that like maybe a magazine put out like once ever. And so this is even before videos that really get popular. So like they made the DIY mixed videotapes and shit people were making maybe like early '90s or something. But like those first years, there's nothing. But hey, listen, I got to grab a cord with an external battery so this doesn't die. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Yeah, dude, you know what? I always get like insecure when I do because I've always talked a lot, and sometimes I probably talk more than I should. But I always have this complex when I do podcasting that like when I do my show, you know, I think that let me check to see if that I always feel like I talk too much, dude. Sorry. Oh wait,
Oh, no.
you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Did
Yeah,
I
I
lose
still
you?
got you're black, but we're there we go.
Okay, my bad, my bad. Okay, yeah, yeah, no, we're good, we're good. Sorry, little earthquake. Just make sure it's charging. Um, yeah, I always got this complex that I talk too much. So if I'm all over the place, I don't know. I'm just kind of like trying to connect dots and just make it somewhat entertaining with these stories. But you know, back to your question, you were saying is like, what was it like? Like that, it was exciting, because people were enthusiastic back at '95 X Games. They were very like they didn't know like because when they first did X Games from '95, '6, '7, all the way up to 1998, I think, or even beyond that, maybe '99, they didn't have a set host. They were using people like Chris Fowler and people that were kind of like from other uh, traditional stick and ball sports that like what are these guys doing? And like I was so heavily involved with a lot of X Games in the beginning because of my personality and like you know they didn't really have a set like host yet. So in those early days it was kind of like it was exciting but it was frustrating too because we were like these fools don't know what the fuck they're doing, you know this is how it is, this is how we got to put it out there. But there's also like a lot of not like territorial and us not understanding how TV works, but they didn't know a lot of things. And honestly, like I got hired in 1998. I did a show for them for 5 years called X Today. It was an hour-long show, and it was a lifestyle show to promote the X Games. Well, I knew everyone, did all kinds of shit, toured everywhere, from Warped Tour to everywhere, and so I kind of took it in my hands to like be like uh, use all my connections to make the shit cool because I felt like they didn't know who was cool, what was cool. This was early on. They didn't know anything. And so, they knew like Tony Hawk and Matt Hoffman and stuff like that, but they didn't really know like the culture or like why they sit down like, so what's your worst injury? Like, oh, that's why I ride for injuries. Why don't you ask me what my best trick is, bitch? I'm kidding. It's true though. It's true. Like it'd always be like, oh, how many injuries do you have? It's like, dude, that's not how I ride. Let's focus on the art of riding. Like that's how we were thinking. So I'm not trying to be a dick right now. I'm just saying that like I feel like I played a big part in helping them learn and never really got credit for it, which is whatever. But like, when I first started doing that show for them, They're like, we want you to wear inline skates, a blue denim ESPN shirt, and have a mic and skate up. And I'm like, all right, check it out, bro. I have nothing against inline skating. I'm a pro biker. I'll wear all black, and I want a lavalier. So I was very like new how I wanted to present myself because I felt like I was a representative of all the sports that was new to this mainstream thing. And I wanted to try my best to put it out there cool to make people want to be part of what we were doing, you know? And I felt like if I go that route, you know, ESPN Connecticut route, my whole thing that I worked for, everyone's going to be like, boo, you suck, you know? Yeah. But I'm not wearing blue denim, bro. Stop it.
Well, I think you got to keep, and I do a ton of TV, and there's actually a lot of parallels in our careers. Mine's on the off-road side, but it's one of those where they bring you in because you're an authentic voice. You've done it, you've seen it, felt it, touched it, you know all the people, but it's like the people that follow you, it's like you get brought in because people are like, hey, I'll watch this. They've got somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's totally corporate and they don't recognize anybody that's on screen, it's a problem.
Yeah, and but I didn't never look at it like it was like, oh, these guys. I just looked at it like as an opportunity of like, oh, okay, these people like me in ESPN. I had no problem with them, and we had a great, you know, I did 3 shows for them at that time, and I was part of the X Games, Winter X Games, Summer X Games. I was like all over the place because they didn't have a live host yet. The actual host was actually, not many people know this, but the main host for X Games came down between me and Salema, and I didn't get it. I remember sitting on the deck at Oceanside, triple ground contest, and his manager said to me, I said, who got the gig, bro? Me or Salema? And he's like, oh, he did. And I was like, I was all like butthurt, you know, for a second. But then I was like, I got my own show and I'm still competing. You know, I competed all the way up to 2007. So I was like, I'm a performer too. I'm not just a host. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't know that I was hosting and I did ESPN radio for almost 11 years. So I was doing TV and radio and competing all in like one weekend. So not many people know that I was like actually hosting and competing at the same time. And I don't think many people have ever done that, but it was new and I didn't want to miss any of the opportunities that were presented to me. So I was like, I'll do it. Yeah, let's go. And so it didn't affect my ego too much when it did for a second when he got the gig and I didn't, because I wanted to be like, you know, I was the host and I wanted to be that dude. But then I was like, oh, I got this other stuff going on too. It's all good. So, you know, but I just looked at those early days as like an opportunity to like help put like the sport out there that I love, that I've been doing so long, in a way where I knew I wasn't going to jeopardize. And it was hard sometimes though, which you probably know. It's hard sometimes dealing with corporations that have their mindset on one way of what something should be, and they might not understand what's really like going to make them be more of a successful brand if you just kind of like lean a little bit this way. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. You know, and it's I've dealt with corporate and the networks and things like that quite a bit. It's just it's a happy dance, you know, because it is. It's like this. You're walking a tightrope. You know, I feel like they are. Like, you know, they don't want to go too far one way, too far the other. It's like this, you know, they recognize they need some authenticity, but they don't want to go full that way because then they feel like they're going to lose, you know, the non-endemics. And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm cussing on here, but honestly, like when I ever did TV or interviewed someone or a Tony Hawk tour in front of like 15,000 kids a night, I never even said ass.
No,
I know I have control over that. I know I have control over that. I may look like, oh, this guy's gonna be freak out. But it's like, no, I'm not gonna freak out. It's like I'm very in control of what I'm saying and doing.
It's funny. I call it a TV switch. Like I cuss a lot, but I get on TV and I've never once had a slip up ever. You know,
you get it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get it.
It's like the camera starts rolling and for whatever reason, we have an internal switch and it's like you can turn off the cuss switch.
Yeah, and you can still be entertaining and still be fun. And then I do stand-up comedy, and then I watch some of my gigs. I'm like, damn, I cuss a lot, dude. I don't mean to, but I feel like it's pent up, bro. Pent up for working for Disney. Pissed me off, bro. I'm in a rage. I'm like a rat in a cage, bro.
How did the music and the stand-up stuff get started? Obviously, you know what I mean. You got you've been doing music for what, a couple decades now, a long time. When did the stand-up roll into things?
Well, just for the record, I started Good Guys in Black in 2008, and then it started off really good, was killing it, was doing a lot, did stuff with Suicidal Tendencies, Pennywise, Warped Tour, yada, 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 was LA Dodgers theme music in 2011. And then, like a lot of bands, they fall out, and I didn't understand like how some musicians may be like, they're hired guns. So like, it's like starting a brand. Or here's a plug. It's like starting Monster. Okay, I didn't start the brand. I ride for the brand. I got good enough at what I do, and they like what I do, and they like who I am as a person, and they back what I do, and they endorse me. So when you're a hired gun as a musician, a lot of people are kind of that way. They don't do the grunt work of the name of the band, the image of the band, the write the music. They want to be hired and go on the road. A lot of people do. And so what I was experiencing was a lot of that because of who I was as a bike rider. People thought they were going to get that lifestyle from me, and I was like, bro, I ain't making any money off of music. This is a whole new like thing. So as I went through different musicians, I said, all right, I'm just going to call my name Thorne. And I did that for a year. I go, no, I'm just going to go Rick Thorne. But I was still playing all the old Good Guys in Black music. And then I was like, and then I thought to myself, dude, what am I doing? Like, just stick to what you're doing. You have people that you play music with. You hire different people, but they're your homies. You write with different people. Good Guys in Black is like saying Rick Thorne. Like, that's me. Yeah. That's because that stemmed from all the criticism I got from my industry by being in movies and TV and radio and touring with Tony and video games. I got a lot of fucking jealousy from a lot of those dudes that I thought were my friends, and it hurt me. And I felt like I needed a voice beyond, like, writing's a physical expression. Hey, watch this trick, bam. But music's like bare bones, bro. There's not behind any helmet. I mean, it's kind of bare bones. Comedy's way more bare bones. But like, music's like, all right, I'm going to express myself vocally. It's different than expressing yourself physically. So that's why I started, and that's what Good Guys in Black stands for. It stands for you look a certain way, but in your heart and who you are as a person, you're completely different. You're completely better than what people think you are. And I felt like I had a lot of that from my industry back then. I did. And it affected a lot of my life. And so I started a band, and so now Good Guys in Black we're killing it. Like, and now that my kids have both moved out, I have time to actually do what a musician needs to do to be in a band. I couldn't tour, bro. Listen, I raised my kids on my own. I've been single for 13 years. I have no family in California, and I have my kids 80 to 100% of the time. So them leaving has been a big shock for me. It's like it actually sucks because I miss them.
What do I do with myself? You know, it's like,
yeah,
he's gone now, right?
Yeah, dude, it's gnarly. Like, that's a whole nother story. But it's cool. I've accepted it because they're both strong kids. They're both amazing. They don't get any trouble. They're not caught up in all this bullshit because I made sure of that. And so for me, like you know, it's just been I don't know where I was with the thoughts of, like, you know, kids moved, and like just with music, it's like I haven't been able to be like you know, not like when I was single on Warped Tour for 13 weeks. When we're going to Australia, we're going to England, we're going to Europe, we're going all through the States, you know, all right. And now I'm back to this, like, oh, wow, I'm 55. Where'd everybody go? You know what I mean? It's weird. So now I'm like, okay, let's get hardcore about the music. I just shot a new music video yesterday that's coming out. And I want to live that dream because I took time off to do what I had to do to raise my children, which I know for sure was the best thing I could do. So, but music's always been in me. It's like, it's been this thing where I haven't been able to do as much of it as I want because of the fact I was raising kids. You know, I didn't want to walk from BMX and be like, oh, I'm done with it, because I love BMX. You know, it's trying to juggle all these different careers and raise kids on your own. It's not easy. And so, you know, that's, and then, you know, you asked how the comedy came about. Look, when I was younger, I made a list of a lot of things that I wanted to do as in my life. No one told me. I just made a list of things that I liked. Oh, I like comedy. I like music. I like making people laugh. I like being in front of people. I like writing. And I made this list of things. And then one day I hope to be in a movie, you know, and I've accomplished all these things. And comedy was one of those things where I kind of I have a comedic kind of like demeanor. To me, it was just like fine tuning jokes in your set, and like, and then I just went forward doing comedy. I went to the Comedy Store a long time ago, and then I got cold feet. It was like 2008 or something, and I didn't do the open mic. And then I didn't come back to even want to think about doing comedy to 2018 or 19. And then I just started going to open mics, and then just started to figure it out. And then, and then you just kind of learn how to write a joke, or you figure out what your stick is, or like what your angle is, or who you are, what you talk about, and, sometimes you bomb and sometimes you don't. But I mean, it just kind of came into like, I learned how to do all these other things through bike riding. Because bike riding, like I said, let's go back. It's the 70s. I'm on an Evel Knievel bike. Who would have thought that I would have been at the level where I started riding? It's because I learned all those qualities of what hard work and determination and not giving up is about through riding, because I compare everything back to it. Like, oh, I bombed at this comedy show. Well, how many times have you fell on a trick and like figured it out? Go figure it out. See the relationship to it all. It's like your confidence is so high because you know that you're able to like write down bike tricks as a kid dreaming and then bring it to life and been able to put it in this spotlight in a sense. It's pretty cool. And that does something to your confidence. You're like, oh, well, if I could do that, I could figure this out. You know what I mean? So, but honestly, bro, like all of it's just about like expressing myself. I look at them kind of all similar. Writing's the physical, music's like an expression, like a meaningful, deeper kind of expression. Comedy's just like, I like to make people laugh, and that makes you feel good. I can't explain it. It's not like serves your ego, but it's fun to make people laugh. And then you're always looking for the next laugh. You're always looking for more,
Well,
so they're all
got the Rick Thorne show too. You've got your show you do. So it's like you've got all these outlets, right?
Yeah, like so I did podcasting when podcasting was really new for ESPN. And I would show up at events with an MP3 player, and I would interview a lot of bands, and being connected with Warped Tour. And then I rode for Travis Barker's company for years, and being connected with like, a lot of rappers on that side, and just different, and then all the sports. And so I was doing a podcast when it was called ESPN Action Sports Podcast for years. And then when that went away, it was when podcasting was kind of new, and that's probably like right around when Joe Rogan started doing his podcast, or you've been doing yours for a while.
Yeah, 2011 is when I started. Yeah.
What year?
2011. So
yep, that's when my shit ended. That was when it was new, right? Trying to figure it out, right?
I called mine at the time a radio show because nobody knew what the hell a podcast was, even though it was a podcast.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get it, man. And so I was like, and then it took me a while to figure that out, because I did my podcast for a while over the phone. Milo, he hears the Ring camera go off. He gets wild. And then I did it Zoom. And then now, like, I did some stuff for this company called Infinity TV a couple years ago at X Games, right? And they said they had a studio. I said, hey, we should become partners on the podcast so I could have a studio to do my podcast. And then that's where it's at now. So now we've gotten over 1 million views if you combine all the promos, Facebook promos, Instagram promos, views and stuff. So it's really starting to grow itself. And so, yeah, so that's a whole nother, like, I like talking. When I do my podcast, I don't talk about myself like this.
Yeah,
I've learned how to be like, it's about you. I may inject a few things about what I've done, but mostly this is your story. And that's what my show is about. Similar to what you're doing. Like you want to get to know someone, what they're about, people you like, same kind of vibe, where you learn something about somebody, which, I like that stuff, where you could kind of hear somebody that's done something that might inspire you or something.
Well, I think that's one of those, like, that's why I was always appreciated all the TV work you've done and stuff like that. And I feel like actually I've taken some cues from how you've done when I've kind of transitioned into TV, because it's like, you've built this career, people know who you are, but when you're on TV, it's not about you. It's about you're sometimes you can take some personal influence and it helps, you can explain what's going on, but it's not about you. You're basically just, what I mean, a catalyst for explaining, it's all about the athletes, or it's about what's going on and who you're interviewing, and there's at times a lot of people make it about them, and you've made it a point not to make it about you. It's about what's going on in front of you.
Yeah, because I have these other avenues that are about me. Comedy's all about me. This is my set. There's nobody else. There's nothing to hide behind. It's just a microphone. There's no drum kit to stand in front of. There's no guitar player to lean on. There's no helmet on. There's no like hiding behind something. Not that people hide behind things, but it's like really like, all right, you're the most vulnerable. There's nothing here but me, nothing at all. And so you have these things that are about you. My music isn't about me, but my lyrics are, so I'm expressing myself. So it's kind of like, so when it comes to podcasting, when I wasn't that good of a TV host when I first started. And what I mean by that is I didn't know what I was doing. And I knew that if it wasn't for a lot of those edits, it probably wouldn't have come across as good as it did. And I'm not being hard on myself. I know that I've improved. And so once I came back to doing a podcast, now I had to learn after all these years to be a better host and learn to listen. And it's my show is very similar to how you do in yours, or some people do theirs. There's no edits. It's just straight through. So then you learn how to carry a conversation because I've done interviews with some bands, bro, and they're like one answer questions. So what was it like back in the 80s? It was good. And so then you got to start scrambling to keep it, because the way we do our podcast is it's not live, but it's roughly an hour long. And so that way we have no edits. So you got to learn how to keep it going and keep it entertaining and listen and be able to call back something or know who you're talking to and what. In the early days with ESPN, they were really kind of short, quick little interviews or intros and exits. They weren't really so I didn't know how to do long interviews, if that makes sense. So I had to learn.
It's funny. That's when I started my show. It was quick, interviews, and we'd talk about current events. And it got to the point where it was very routine, monotonous. And now it's I got where I actually got really burned out on it. And nationally, we did a year worth of re-airs, because I've done 1,500 podcasts at this point, radio shows.
Wow, that's cool, bro. Congrats. That's a lot.
But we did a year worth of re-airs because I got burnt out. And then I come back and it was I got to do things on my turn. I just want to talk to rad people and talk long form. I don't care about what's going on currently in the world. If it ties into what we're talking about, great. But it's just one of those where it's I don't care about the latest results from some event somewhere. I'm I don't want to do a 10-minute interview and cut out all the really good stuff, because we got to hit these marks talking about something. I'm I just want to do it on my terms. Now it's great. I get to talk to people like you, talk for an hour and talk about life and whatever,
Yeah, I think that's better, because I think a lot of people get triggered and consumed a lot by politics, especially nowadays, and everything's super divided and there's more to life, and at my age, people my age, they get really some people they get really consumed with politics, and then that becomes their whole daily topic. And I'm but what about me? What do I need to be fulfilled? I understand, I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong, I pay attention to what's going on in the world, but it doesn't consume there's still something inside of me that I feel in this world. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're always talking about that and you can't change it, you become that. You know what I mean? I don't want to become that. These people, they really care about you. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get over consumed with being too political. And I keep a lot of politics off myself, because I feel I'm an entertainer that wants to entertain in a different way, even as a comedian. Because comedy is political, punk rock's political. There's a lot of politics in it, but there's also a lot of people that aren't political that are equally as funny. So just trying to find a way to be entertaining to people and inspire people in a way, rather than complaining about politics. I feel that what triggered me to say that is just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody about what their craft is and what they got good at, and stories about their life, to me seem inspiring more than complaining about politics. Not that I don't pay attention, because I do.
Yeah.
It just doesn't own me. You know, it doesn't own my headspace. You know, some people it does. I think.
I tell a lot of people, you know, and left, right doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Everybody, the sky is falling. You talk to anybody, the sky is falling. And I tell everybody, I'm like, turn off the TV, take a deep breath, walk outside. I go, is your life really that bad? You know, and people are like, oh, what do you mean? I go, no, go spend a day and don't pay attention to any mass media. And I go, tell me how your life is different. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, get out and do something, and then if you have a dream of something you want to do, just start. I mean, I'm still, dude. I even said bike rider. It's like I'm still learning how to be like a good bike rider. You never feel like you never feel like you made it. You never feel like, oh yeah, you always want to be better. Like, you always want to be better. If you love something you do, you want to layer it. But I tell people all the time, like, I mean, you know, same thing. Like, I mean, do whatever you want with your life. It's your life. You want to do whatever you want, do whatever you want. But if you want to have a better life, just try something that you wanted to do. Just try it and just start. Just start something. Because I've learned that. I've done that with myself. You know, I was frustrated with podcasting. Like, this podcasting, getting no love. I got no sponsors, blah, 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 blah. You know, I don't like editing, you know, and I was doing it all on my own. And then just kept going at it until we're like, now I feel like I'm in a pretty good place. I see you got a lot of sponsors on your podcast, which is great. I used to work with General Tire back in the day.
Yeah, they're awesome. Been with me for almost 15 years now. Next year it'll be 15 years, so we've been doing stuff, but been good.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I listened to you. I had to check my battery life. Yeah, it's awesome. 15 years you've been with them. That's amazing. That's great. Yeah,
but it's, you know, no, I'm kind of the same with you. And it's, I like pushing myself. It's like, God, I'm 45. And like, last 2 years, I picked up snowboarding. I'd never really been snowboarding much, you know, and it was like, and now it's something I do with my daughter, but it's like, most people like, I was at like 43 years old on the bunny hill, you know what I mean? With a snowboard. And I've got, there's like 3-year-olds there and everybody's laughing. And I'm like, so, you know, one of the guys, they were kind of chuckling, and I look at him, I go, so what's the logical way for me to learn? He goes, no. He goes, we actually respect what you're doing. He goes, most people at 45 would just be like, I'm just not going to learn to snowboard. And I'm like,
yeah, no. because they're afraid what people are going to say. Like, who cares, right?
No, it was like, you know, by the end of it, the guys are giving me high fives, they're giving me pointers, stuff like that. And I picked it up, you know, now I'm okay. I can get up and down the mountains without falling, you know, I'm not, but it's just one of those. But it's even like skateboarding, you know, it's like, I asked my daughter, because I've rode BMX my whole life, and it's like I've skateboarded here and there, and it's like I've kind of, when I travel, it's easier to bring a skateboard than it is a BMX bike, so I've kind of started skating a lot more. And I'll go to a skate park with my daughter, and it's like, here, like last year, I dropped in like on a 4-foot quarter pipe on a skateboard, you know what I mean? And it was like,
yeah,
I'm like, I dropped in on a 4-foot quarter pipe on a skateboard. Like, most people wipe out. I'm like, cool, you know. I asked my daughter, I was like, you embarrassed that your old man like comes to skate parks? She goes, no, all the kids are jealous of me. They wish their dads would too, you know. And it's
like, exactly. Yeah, that's cool. Well, also too, I think if you're worried about what people say about you because you're trying something, trust me, even if you're successful, they talk more about you. Like, people always talk shit regardless. That's why it's like, do things for yourself. Don't do things for other people. I'm not here to please other people with what I need to do. I do what I do. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's fine. Keep it moving. That's kind of my attitude about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not out to make people not like me, but like what I've learned is that I got super, super successful. Thought I was building BMX. I thought I was inspiring everyone. And the BMX industry took a bunch of jabs at me, and it affected my income, and I lost sponsors. I ended up getting divorced. I lost my house over it. Like, it got brutal, like, because of an industry's jealousy over the fact that I had these opportunities. And I had a lot of sponsors bailed at the time. And so then in my head, I'm like, wait, like, I was trying to help our sport grow, and what I used to fight for, now I'm fighting against. This is weird. So my point to it all, and riding.
You there? You there?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
You said your point to it all, and then it paused.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I didn't touch it or anything. It's weird. No, I'm just saying that like I don't know where I was going with it, but like just do things for you, because people are always going to, you know, say things about you, like I said, I thought I was sticking up for my sport and doing something awesome. So like, you want to get out there and go skate, you go do things because you like to do them. And that's a true test if you're doing it for the right reasons,
Well,
that's how I kind of look at it. Like,
going back to what you originally said, it's like, you know what I mean? I don't care what age you are, get outside, do something. If you want to try something, try it. You know what I mean? There's never, I don't think you're ever too late to try something new. You know what I mean? Pick it up. You're not going to be good at it, but put in the work and maybe you will be.
Right. And that goes back to the principles of thought that I was saying before, is that like you get what you think, say most of the time with your subconscious mind. Like I've shared this a lot with people. I'll share it right now. I've learned how to reprogram my brain on some issues that I had that were making me not get ahead in life. As much as it looked like I was getting ahead, there's some other areas that I wasn't getting ahead. And so what I did is I learned how the subconscious mind works and how it never goes to sleep and how you get what you think and say. You don't have to say it, just think it. And so I would test my subconscious mind, and I wanted to buy a Jeep. And I'd be like, I want to get a Jeep. I want to get a Jeep. I want to get a Jeep. I'd say that. I'd think it all the time. And then the only cars I saw on the street were Jeeps. I was like, whoa, this works. Now follow me. If your subconscious mind doesn't go to sleep, that's why they said don't fall asleep in front of the TV. Makes sense. So then I started to go, wait a second. What if I get audiobooks about issues that I have, like abandonment issues or fear of being alone, people pleasing, guilt, these things that I had in me at the time, that was a recipe for like horrible relationships of like, what if I listen to some of these books while I sleep, and over time it's going to reprogram my brain. So if a TV could do it, and sure enough, dude, it took years, but I would get books that I felt like I needed, that I liked, audiobooks, and would sleep to them. And over time, I would see red flags with certain situations that I never saw before, because I started to like reprogram my thought process and started to become comfortable with being alone. Started to become changing what I wanted in a woman in a relationship. What I not just because I'm alone and I'm putting myself in these situations because I don't want to be alone. Those type of things, and it changed me a lot. It made me more solid. It made me more and it made me more confident and more successful. Even though I felt like I was pretty confident already, I just felt like it changed me and my thought process to be more successful in what I wanted to do, because the way that the old way wasn't working, and I needed to change. So I don't know if anybody could pick up on what I was saying. Is like your subconscious mind, if you study it, you learn how to talk to it differently. Like you learn how to talk different.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Dad, can I buy this? Oh, I'm broke. So your subconscious mind hears broke. And what's it see for you? You start to see more broke. But if you say, I'd rather spend my money on something else. Well, that's a whole nother message to your subconscious mind. That's just an example. You learn how to, when you're telling a story, I say, oh, this is an old story in my head. I don't say it out loud. So my subconscious mind knows I'm referring to an old story, not what's now. Because then it's going to manifest now what you think and say. It's really sounds really simple because it is, but we make it difficult as humans because things get in the way, and the speech gets in the way. And that's what affects you. That's what steers you, what I've learned, for me at least. And it freaking works, bro. I'm telling you, it works. So I just made a lot of changes, in my life. And it goes back to what we were saying, is like, just start. I never really feel like I don't really ever feel accomplished. Like, it's only for small little spurts. Oh, I did that. Cool. And then you're like, what's next? Because you know that's over. Cool. I enjoyed the moment, Go ahead. What were you going to say? Exact thing with you?
I was just agreeing with you. No, it's the same way. It's like, I have this, like, I guess if you start and you sit and you look at like the last, 30 years, 25 years worth of work, it's like, yeah, I've accomplished a lot, but I don't feel like I have, because it's like, I have all these, these checkpoints. It's like, I want to do this, that it did. Okay, cool. What's next?
Yeah.
I guess I'll celebrate the win for half a second, but then it's on to the next thing. All right, cool. What's next that we can check off? It's like, I have these, just these checkpoints that you just continue to go through and check off. And then all of a sudden you look back at the last 20 years, like, damn, I've checked a lot of things off.
Yeah, dude, I do that. You're absolutely right. I do that all the time, because I'll be like, I'll go through some shit and I'll be like, oh, I remember that. And then I'm like, oh, I did a lot of stuff. But in my life, I'm like, I don't really feel like I've done enough, you know, like I just can't sit still. Like, and the clock's ticking, dude. I'll be real with you. We ain't gonna be here forever, you know, and like, you got to like do things that make you happy now and focus on, you know, and like what I said, you usually get what you think, good or bad. If you sit around and think bad things, and you're going to see bad things, and your mind's going to, subconscious mind's going to show you more bad things, and you're just going to see bad things. You're going to be, that's your life. But, you know, like you could see something and think one way about it, and I could see something and think another thing about it, because it's what our perception is, you know. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You fill your head up with bullshit all day, and what are you going to see all day? You're going to see bullshit, because it's all you're talking about. That's all your subconscious mind's listening to you say. I'm talking about politics and how it's controlling people so much. Like, that's all you're talking about and what you're hearing. That's what your subconscious sees. And then that's what your whole day is. It's like, dude, I got other things to do, you know, because I know my time is short here, and I want to make some shit happen and inspire people to do something with their life. It isn't even about me. I could brag and boast and all this shit. Half the time you forget the things you do. I just want to like let people know I'm from nothing, bro. Like, what I mean by that, I'm not from any of these industries. I grew up in Missouri. My mom got divorced. She worked in a factory. She worked at Wonder Bread. I lived in my mom's basement. I bust tables in an Olive Garden. None of this shit was handed to me. You know, nothing's been easy. Challenges with the industry, this, that, the other. So it's like, if anything you could do is just inspire people to be like, hey, you can do it too. There's nothing special about me. I just got the will to not give up, you know, and to get better and to be honest with yourself. And, you know, that's kind of the keys to success, is being honest with yourself, you know,
yeah,
for me at least.
Self-reflection is pretty tough to look in the mirror and look at what's staring back at you. And I tell people that I'm like, it's one of the harder things, really look in the mirror and look at what's staring back at you. I'm like, that's tough. I know. I look in
the mirror and I'm like, dude, Brad Pitt staring right back at me. Tom Cruise. I used to like Robert De Niro, but Robert De Niro, I still like him, but I feel like he's just like a grumpy old dude. You know what I mean? Like in the early days, like Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver and shit, I was all about that. So I could have said, hey, you talking to me? You talking to me? That would have been me in the mirror. Now it's more kind of like, you know.
What is it?
If I eat a donut, you know.
Yeah, there's a Cool Runnings movie, the old Cool Runnings, a snowmobile movie, and the one guy's trying to get the one kid pumped up. He goes, look in the mirror, tell me what you see. You know, he starts yelling. All of a sudden, the kid's like, he gets him so amped up, he goes out and gets in a bar fight. You know what I mean? And it's like,
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, but I mean, you know, everybody's got their story, and like, if anybody could take anything from this, like, I always try to make it a point that, like, I mean, I am pretty much a self-made individual, as far as like just, but also too, you know, if someone offers you an opportunity as maybe something you might not be like good at, take the opportunity and learn. Don't just shut it down, because you can learn along the way. And that's kind of what I've done, you know, not every opportunity, but you know, a lot.
I like to say the answer is yes. And then I figured out afterwards, like, yep, I'll do that. Oh shit.
Yeah.
How the hell am I going to do that?
Yeah, and then you just go figure it out, you know. You're just like, all right, let's go for it. Like, it's kind of like riding, you know. It's like I said, everything goes back to riding. It's like, oh, I want to learn a can. How do you do that? Just try it. Kick your foot over, and then you're like, oh, and the next thing you know, you're stretching them. You know. So,
before we wrap up, go circle it full circle back to riding. How often are you still on the bike, man?
Every day.
Every day.
Yep. Every day. Look at my Instagram. I'm riding every day. I mean, there may be a day or two that I missed or something, but mostly like what I do every day is I ride. I shoot a photo riding. I do a sing-along series called Rick Thorne's Headphone Series. I started doing that because my band wasn't doing much and I wanted to practice. Before really, I'll just say this. You should check it out on Instagram. I've done like 300 some odd videos now. I sing the songs. Like, oh, what is that? But it's in different areas. I'm on the street. It's pretty cool. And like, but for me, it's like vocal training. Like, now that I've started singing other songs and like holding notes in different ways, I'm like, oh, well, some of this punk rock stuff I was singing really isn't that hard to do, because I like it, but it's like I started to challenge myself more. Like, what if I could sing like this or sing like that? And so to me, it's just like, it's fun, it's entertaining, but in my mind, I started doing it because I wanted to get better at singing, and just because I thought like, well, if a drummer plays drums to a song, he's learning that other musician's song and learning how to play in a different way. Oh, that's cool. Or you're a guitarist, the best. Learn how to play other people's stuff. Not that you want to be them. So I'm not trying to be like any of these people that I'm singing. They're just songs I like, and I'm pushing myself. And so I do that every day. I do one of those every day. Ride every day. So riding's just, whether I'm riding 10 miles on the street, I hit the mini ramp at Brooklyn Projects, or I'll go to the skate park, wherever, DIY spot. So yeah, I never stopped riding. And that's the key before we end this. Anyone that does anything, not just riding, when you stop and then try to come back, it's harder. Just don't stop. Just try to be consistent. If you take a break, maybe just a small break, and then circle back around. And that's been the great thing about bike riding, is just all these different things you could do in bike riding. You could ride vert, you could ride flatland, you could ride dirt, you could ride park, you could ride street. You kind of could bounce around. You know what I mean? It's not like just one thing you got to do. So yeah, man, that's what I do, at least. Don't stop, because when you stop, it's harder to pick it back up. So
I appreciate the time, Rick, man. It's been awesome, brother.
I talk a lot, dude. I got a complex. But that's what podcasts are for, right?
It's what it's about, man. That is what it's all about.